there, friends. Welcome to Curlers and Conversations. I'm Chrissy, missionary wife, mindset coach, miracle mom, and your go-to for all things faith, style, and savvy living. So join me and some amazing guests as we share our stories, break free from expectations, and embrace the messy, joyful truth. We're talking faith, wellness, and real-life tips to help you live your best life, all without losing your identity. So grab that cup of coffee or tea and let's start that conversation. Welcome, everyone, to our next episode of Curler and Conversation. Today, I have two very special guests with me. They're from the USA, but they're here in South Africa, and they've spent the last,
Three weeks.
3 weeks.
3 weeks today.
3 weeks traveling around all South Africa, being in places that I've actually never been, and we've been here for over 23 years. But today we're talking with Dawn and Dawn, the two Dawn, the duo, the Dawn duo. Is that what you call yourself?
Double Dawn.
Double Dawn. And I just wanted to share with them, they're actually getting on an airplane tonight to go back to the U.S.
Yeah.
Right now, Africa is crying for their leaving because it's been
Pouring.
rain all day. But it's been beautiful weather for you guys.
We've lucked out.
So I want to know, for our listeners and our people that are watching us on video, your first impressions of South Africa, some of the things that you have found that is unique, that surprised you between South Africa and America, and then just give us some of your antidotes that you discovered along the way. And I heard you had a list. Did you bring your list?
Dawn has a list.
Okay, so we want to know their list of all the different
Well, I think the first thing is the bathrooms.
The bath.
Are so clean. Like, literally, there are attendants in every bathroom. Like, we were just in a parking garage. I took a picture of the bathroom, and there's 2 attendants in there in the parking garage, and everything is just so clean. In the airport, they were literally spraying the toilets. Every time you went to the bathroom, they'd spray the toilet
and mop the floor. As you're coming out, they're going in and mopping and wipe.
Bathroom
So
that we've been in.
have you ever had to pay to go to the bathroom? Because they have some of them where you
We paid for toilet paper once
Here?
in grass cup, remember?
Oh,
Yeah.
Here, I'd gladly pay it because
Yeah.
it's
So
crazy.
fun.
And we have had some, like one we went into and there are flowers and everything over the sinks, and there was a tip jar there. The attendants,
They deserve those tips
I mean,
because
it's crazy.
it was amazingly clean.
That's first thing. Because I drink a lot of water, so I go to the bathroom a lot.
We're all very healthy. Just to back up for just a moment, I wanted to share how we all met. And so last year, Yeah,
Yeah.
it was last year.
Man,
We all met when I took to Ecuador, and they as well were on the same trip. But we all met at the Young Living Ylang farm.
Yes,
And so we
in
spent a
Ecuador.
week there, and we never knew anybody. We just all went there, and so that's where I met these ladies.
Oily
Right.
friends.
Oily buddies.
We've met some crazy, amazing people all through
oils.
our love of oils.
Exactly.
So we met in Ecuador, and now we're together in South
South
Africa.
Africa, and who would have known?
I know.
Never know. So give us a synopsis of, I know you're going to tell about the different ways that you found different, but give us a brief summary of all the places you went in South Africa. Can you remember?
Yeah.
Like, where did you start? And now you're, and
Well, we started in Johannesburg. Sorry, I've been fighting a cold for the last week, and I'm losing my voice.
but you have a lot better voice today
Yeah.
than you have.
And it hasn't stopped me from doing anything.
oh no, she said firecracker.
The first, we got off the airplane in Johannesburg, right to the car, and we went to Kruger first.
which is a 4.5-hour drive, driving on not the wrong side, but the opposite side of the road. The steering wheel is on the opposite side of the car. All your turn signals and lights and everything's backwards. So it took a lot of adjusting.
Turning the windshield wipers on every time we were
tried to
trying
turn.
the turn signals on. It was so funny. We were laughing so hard.
Yeah, because they're on opposite
Yes.
sides.
Yeah.
So usually in America, the turn signal's on this side, and in here it's the windshield wipers.
And I kept grabbing for my seatbelt over here, but it was over here. And I couldn't ever use my rear view mirror because I'm used to looking this way. And it was up here. So it took a while to get used to. anxious to go back home and drive again and see what happened.
Beware, though. Beware, because it takes me a moment when I go back to the States and I get in the car and I'm just like, my
Which
brain
side?
has to remember because it's been
Kristina gave us a great tip, which helped us a lot because I had to think about it a million times, is you always keep your body,
The driver.
I was the driver, on the inside where the white line is, dividing the middle of the road.
Yeah.
So
Or where you are.
no matter,
doesn't matter if you're in the States or if you're over here.
that your driver needs to be to the
Yes.
center of the lane.
So we drove around Kruger. So Kruger, if you don't know, is a national park up near Johannesburg area. And it's self-driving. You can do safaris there. You can hire people. But we rented a car and drove through the park for 3 days. And so you're looking for the animals all yourself. And the animals just run wild. It's like they're in their natural habitat. And so you're looking. So for 3 days, we were determined to see a leopard. So for 3 days, we're like driving really slow, looking for all these different animals. And we had some amazing animal experiences. And we did get to see the big five: the elephant, the water buffalo, the rhinoceros, and
Giraffe.
Lion.
lion.
No, the lion. Sorry.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
lion. But we did see tons of giraffe, tons of zebras.
They call them zebras here.
Zebra,
That's
not
another thing
zebra.
different.
Yep.
Which
And-
makes sense because it's not two E's,
Yeah.
it's one E.
And then, tons of different kinds of deer.
I think we counted 28 different
Yeah.
types of animals
I kept track.
that
Because
we saw.
we got a Kruger app, and in the app it would tell you all about the different animals. So I'd screenshot every animal we saw. And I think we saw about 28, probably more, because some of the deer things, whatever the animals,
Antelope.
yeah,
We
they're-
called everything the deers,
Deer.
but there's different kinds.
Yeah.
We saw springbuck, we saw impalas.
Impalas. Yes.
all different kinds.
Yeah, I
Antelope.
can't even remember.
Antelope.
Yeah.
They all had different horns.
Yeah.
Tons of
Yeah.
them. Yeah. And we saw a ton of hyenas. So that was cool. Yeah. And then one time she was driving and I was the photographer. And so we're driving and we're like, what is that noise? And I'm listening out the door. And
It was like brush
driving
cracking.
up, and all of a sudden this elephant is charging at us. And we
yeah.
scared him as much as he scared us. And he like put on his brakes and she's trying to hurry him back up. Thank goodness there was nobody behind us. It was like 6:30 in the morning because every day we got up at sunrise and we're out looking for animals. As soon as that group opened the park, we were like the first ones in line every day. And she's backing up, and it was so crazy. This elephant was like having an argument with its woman in the bush, and it was making these crazy noises. And
It was 3 times the size of our car.
Yes.
So we were really glad that
Oh
we
my
could
gosh,
back
it
up
was
and we weren't in a
crazy.
big line of people in the
I don't know
state
what would have
park.
happened. And then, so we were the only ones on the road. And then this other guy comes the other way and he saw it. So he stopped. And then he started backing up going this way. And because this elephant was huge. And then all of a sudden I go, let's see what he does. Because we were stuck.
We
didn't
couldn't
know-
move.
We didn't want to keep going. And then he ended up driving through. But while we were sitting there, the girl comes down and she butts up against this bush. And I had just
Yes.
got done saying, we're not why all these bushes are laying on the ground. That's why the elephants are so big. They just, these,
I think he
Francis
was trying to
down.
get her, and she literally put her hind end up against that bush. You're
It
not
was
getting me. And she crushed that whole bush. She
Yeah.
kicked it with her little foot. And
I
We-
was
a
videotaping
big
the
foot.
whole thing.
we have it on video.
It was crazy. So that
I
was
did see
crazy.
that video. That was crazy.
Yeah. And then the other really crazy thing was we spent hours looking for leopard, and a couple times people spotted them. Ever that happened, there was a traffic jam, and it was so frustrating because you couldn't get through.
You can't go forward. You can't go back.
And even you're looking in your binoculars, you can barely see it. And that happened a couple times. And then
And we never saw it.
we never saw anything. And so you had to get out of the park by 6 o'clock every night. And it was our last day. And we were told where to go to maybe see a leopard and rhinos. Those were our 2 things. So we're literally driving, and there's 3 rhinos, a mother, dad, and baby walking pretty much along the road. We just sat there and we watched them. It was awesome. And it was like the whole family. We're like, oh my gosh, we're finally going to see the rhinos. Because we had only seen them one other time and we had to look through the bushes and stuff. These were like right off the road. And it was like at dusk because it was almost 6 o'clock.
Yeah, it's not a good sighting unless you can get a real good photo of it. That's the way we were looking at it.
So then we're going to have to turn around and leave because it was time to go. So we're literally turned around. And so we're driving down the road and Dawn goes, oh my gosh. I jump in the back seat. I roll down the window and this leopard walks right past
4 feet from our
I
car.
literally could have reached out and touched it
We had to put the window up.
because it literally walked right by our car. And here we are the whole time looking way down in the bushes for these leopards. And it walked right 15 minutes before the park was going to close for our last day. We're so excited.
Check. We kept saying that. Check.
We were like in shock.
We sat there after a walk by. It's like,
Did that just happen?
with our mouths hanging over.
It was nuts.
So that was Kruger.
That was you go after.
That was just one part. That was only day 3. We were on for 21 days.
And we went to Grass Top.
This place is amazing. And there's this drive that you do, and it's called like the God's Window and the 3 Rondevals, the potholes, and different things that you stop and look at. And you're supposed to pay at each one of them, which we didn't know. Everybody was on strike, so you could just go in for free.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we lucked out.
And so you'd go, and the views were insane. I was posting pictures, and they had waterfalls, and it's just really a pretty place. And there's only 4 restaurants.
Yeah, it's a very small town. Then we went in the glass elevator that took us down into this canyon.
It was beautiful.
You go way down in, and they had trails.
And then there was this beautiful walkway all down. And there was this gorgeous waterfall. And then you could ride this big swing. You could zip line. Now, we had both already zip lined in the rainforest, so we didn't care about doing that. But we did zip line later. We'll tell you about it.
So what was one of the strangest or weirdest things that you've eaten since you've been here?
What we found out is in America, if you get a continental breakfast at a breakfast buffet, it sucks. Yes, it's basically cereal. It's horrible. We were in Grass Top, and we got the breakfast buffet. They had every kind of meat that you could get like in South Africa there, and it was beautifully displayed.
Yogurt and fruit.
Any kind of eggs you wanted.
For me, that was the biggest difference. I said it before when I traveled. The food everywhere else is just so much better than in the States.
She lives in Pennsylvania, which is a lot different from California where I am.
So it was more of a difference for me because I used to tell her when I went to California, they don't have this food at our place. You know what I mean? They don't. It's just not there. The food here is much better.
It's healthy and clean. You don't have to worry. Like,
You don't have the issues. I don't have the issues. And I know you were telling me you don't have the issues as well. Like
digestive issues. Yeah.
I eat everything here. I don't eat gluten. I don't drink coffee. I don't do any of that in the States. Here, I eat everything.
And she's been fine, other than her voice.
Yeah, I lost my place. Then we flew to Cape Town, and oh my gosh.
Culture shock from one to the other, though.
Oh, yeah, it's completely different. It's completely different.
Yeah.
Like the lights when we were coming in, I'm like, oh my gosh, it was lit up like Vegas.
Yeah. We stayed in Sea Point, like 3 blocks up from the water. So every morning we'd get up, we'd stop at a coffee shop, and all the coffee shops were connected to like gyms. Like everyone walking around is fit, healthy, and like exercising. There's bike clubs and runners and
dog
walkers and tons of gyms, tons.
Yeah.
And it's so weird. Everything is multiple here. Like the coffee shop is connected to the gym. And
Those are smoothie place.
The grocery store is connected to the one. Everything is like
this grocery store is so close. And the whole boardwalk was just full of runners. And then out in the water, there's kayakers. Everybody, it's just so inspiring. And I'm a personal trainer. So
a lot of paragliding going on. We got to watch them land. They jump off of the 2 big mountains behind where we stay, which was the Tabletop Mountain and Lion's Head Mountain. Table Mountain. Not Tabletop. Table Mountain. And Lion's Head. We saw where they jumped from when we hiked it. And then they land at the Cape Town Park on like boardwalk. And the boardwalk was super cool. But there's something else that was different about South Africa, that state. The playgrounds are so cool. And I'm a personal trainer and I do everything in parks outside. So I've seen a lot of playgrounds. Their playgrounds are so cool here. Like they have playgrounds that are workout playgrounds. They have ones that are like all wood.
And then the swings are like made out of tires.
Everything gets reused here. There's
Yeah.
there's zero waste. All their art,
All day long.
the art, the paintings, the little trinkets you buy, it's all made from something here. It's like there's no waste. They use it.
They even recycle the seeds of the peach seeds.
Oh, it's like gravel.
And it's like gravel.
They use it for their gravel peach seed pits. And then we biked it. It was like a 5K boardwalk
and they will hurry
all along the coast.
All the way up to the waterfront. And it was just beautiful. And everybody is so nice. Everybody is so nice. It's just real.
Well, I had this discussion with my friend Lynette, the South African here, and I brought her to the States last year. And she said the same thing about the States. Everybody is so nice there because we were talking about the differences. And I said, I think the reason why, because I get that here,
because of the tourist thing,
because we're Americans. But as soon as you open your mouth here, because they hear the American accent, everybody's like putting their best foot forward.
Yeah.
And so
Tourists is their life.
But it is true. That's one of the reasons why I really love living here. One of the perks of living here as an American is because everybody's so nice. And some of my friends will even say, you go ask Nora, put your American on and see what they'll do for you as an American.
Tourists is our livelihood here.
Yeah.
So
then after that, we went, what's the name of that winery? That was beautiful. It's like it was foggy that morning, so we didn't get the full effect of all the mountains and stuff.
That's
but
a beautiful
you can
place.
spend the entire day there. And I don't even drink. But we went and had the buffalo.
They have more than just wine.
Yeah.
it's vegetables and
we had the buffalo cappuccino. They called it something cappuccino. It was buffalo milk.
Buffalo. It might have been that.
Yeah. And it was coffee with the buffalo milk. And then they had stores and beautiful gardens.
We literally went to a garden where our friends shop for their groceries. And you look on the ground where everything's growing and you say, I want some beets, I want some radishes. And the farmer will walk with you. He picks it. He gets it all ready.
But anyhow, that winery, because my friend who was here 2 years ago, she knew I didn't drink it because it's so big and it's surrounded by mountains and it's all the vines and stuff. And the whole thing was all plants.
They just don't waste anything.
Because right now, it's April.
Yeah.
Okay,
March and
April. March and April. And so right now is opposite season over here from the U.S. So we're going into our fall. So this is fall basically right now.
Yeah.
So whatever.
It's just so weird.
Having your gardens at autumn and fall time in the States. So we're going into Easter. We do have Easter over here, and everybody celebrates Easter, but it's going into winter.
So they have pumpkins at Easter. And so then after that, Kristina was nice enough to lend us her car, convertible.
That's where we met Kristina down in Cape Town. And she came in her bougie convertible and picked us up.
So that was amazing.
Saw penguins.
The penguins are out on the beach, so we saw them, and we saw them
to the very, not very southern tip that later, but we went to Cape of Good Hope.
Yeah, and then we did
Chapman's Peak, which is very much like the Pacific Coast Highway, but it's so a million times better.
Yes.
All along the coast, and it was perfect. And so we were right along the water. That was like a whole day. Driving all the way down there.
So we spent 3 days in Cape Town.
Oh, we hiked. So then we did the bus. So that way we can get on and off where we wanted to.
Yeah, the tour bus.
If you do that, make sure you get on and get off the same place because we kept looking for the next. We were like, we'll get off here and we'll get on.
The stops seem much closer than they really are. Let's just say that. We did a lot of walking and it was super hot and we were just ready to get back on the bus.
So then one of the stops was Table Mountains. We ended up getting off the bus, riding the cable car up to the top. And once you get to the top, there's tons of trails up there with all the views.
It also has a restaurant.
Yes, I couldn't believe how big it was on top of the mountain.
That was cool because we had already hiked Lion's Head, and that was a really good hike. And there's cables and ladders and stuff like that to get up to the top of Lion's Head. So that was cool. But so as you can see, we were going from morning till night every day. We did a ton of stuff.
Just hoping to sleep on the airplane tonight. We just wanted to wear ourselves out so we could sleep on that 16-hour flight home.
So let's switch gears just for a little bit. And you've been in Cape Town and you've done this whole thing. So what are some of the things that you have found that are surprising to you that was totally unexpected?
There are, right, I come from San Diego and I don't know what is happening there, but the roads are terrible. And there's potholes. It looks horrible.
And I come from Pennsylvania, which we know what happens there. It gets cold and then it gets warm and the roads get bad.
The roads here
Are amazing.
There's no potholes.
Yes.
Everything's beautiful. Everything's so clean. Because I feel like there's workers everywhere.
Not everything. So there are places where we went to where there's,
We didn't go.
but we drove by and you can see,
They're called townships.
and there's garbage and they live in shacks. And we actually tried to do a tour today, but we were rained out. And so we were rained out this morning and we didn't get to do that tour. We thought we were going to learn a little bit about how they live inside them townships in these little shacks. It would have been super interesting to see.
And we lucked out on the weather. It's been beautiful the whole time. So we can't complain.
Now, another difference I noticed, and I kept noticing, is all the light switches are on the outsides of the room. So when you go into the bathroom, you have to turn the light on outside first. And a lot of the bathrooms in America, they have fans that suck the moisture out. They don't have those here.
Or plugs. They don't have plugs.
No plugs in the bathroom.
Yeah, they don't have, you won't find a plug unless you're in a hotel room or something, because they do that for tourists. But yeah, here in the houses, they're
No
not
plugs.
allowed to put what they call electricity.
Where water is.
Yeah.
What was some of our other things? We have to look because we can't remember. We made a list all the way through of what we thought was just so different.
Oh, how much cheaper it was here. It's got to eat. I hardly ever even got to eat in the States.
Me either.
And if you do, it's going to be at least $20.
For one person.
Yeah. And
It's
here
crazy.
we have they use Rhinos here instead of dollars. It's $1 to make
Cheaper. Yeah. Sorry.
And we got to eat, and then you can pay with credit card for everything. We'd look at our credit card, it's like, that dinner was only $21. And we
Both
shared
ate,
everything.
we both had steak. We ate ostrich steak.
steaks.
Delicious. It's absolutely
Delicious.
delicious. They say it's one of the best meats for you because it has more protein than fish, less fat than beef. And what was the other thing? There was like 3 things they told us about the ostrich meat. It was super, super good.
Another thing that we noticed too, because when we were driving, we kept looking for the road signs. And in America, there's like poles with the sign at the top that tells you the name of the street. We're like, and remember, the stop signs are on the left.
That was
So-
hard for me to get used to.
But the street signs are on the curbs.
Written on the bottom.
Written on the bottom of the curb.
So I don't think about some of these things that I'm used to
Yeah.
seeing. And so it's automatic for me to look down and see where it is.
But even transitioning back and forward.
It can be a little bit
Yeah.
difficult, but I never thought of that until you
Yeah.
said something about that.
Yeah.
And another thing, they don't have door locks like we have at home. When you shut your bathroom door or whatever, they have old style key locks for almost everything, like the old style skeleton keys. Those are like the keys you use to get into your rooms. That's the
And you
key to
lock
the bathroom
inside.
with the key behind you.
You
Like-
can't switch a thing to
lock
the door.
it.
Yeah.
And then another thing too is they speak English here, but their words are different. So if you ask for something and they're looking at you like, what? Or else they'll just say no.
So, for example, Dawn asked for a napkin when we got a smoothie, and they're like, no, we don't have a napkin. We're like, what do you mean you don't have a napkin? Well, a napkin here is a sanitary pad.
Well, there's a baby's diaper.
Yeah, it's not. It
It's
wasn't.
a serviette.
So
Yeah.
And the
Jump
trunk of the
crunch.
car is the boot.
Boot.
The boot. Yes.
Put your stuff in the boot.
Different things.
Did you know that the hood of the car is a bonnet?
Oh, yeah, you
Mm.
told us that.
Yeah. Yeah. And then a stoplight is actually called a robot.
And a tinkle, if somebody says they're going to give you a tinkle later, that means they're going to call you later, not pee on you later.
Exactly. Here's a fun one. And I laugh about this with my friends, my South African friends too. But what they had to get used to sometimes the terminology that they would use, like the phrasing that they would use. And so they would say if someone is in the hospital and they're very sick and they're not going to make it or whatever, the literal terminology that they would use would be I'm sorry, but they're busy dying. And so in my mind, what does that conjure up?
Yeah.
Now it's so you can't disturb them now.
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
busy.
yeah.
It's like they're busy dying. And
Oh
it's
my
like,
gosh.
you just want to be like, I'm so sorry, but I won't disturb them because they're busy doing something. But, or they'll say, can I carry you somewhere?
Another thing that I noticed here, because I like my drinks cold, is they don't serve you ice with your drinks unless you ask.
I make it a point, if I want ice, to just ask them for my drink and then ask them for a cup of ice.
Yeah.
Because if you ask them for ice in your drink, not 9 times out of 10, they'll bring you like 3
Yeah.
Whereas
When I got here, I wiped Christina's freezer out of ice trying to get cold water here.
Yeah. And then also, when you eat, and then you'll wait a half an hour before they bring you the check. And then they'll bring you the check. And then when you tell them you want to pay for a credit card, they have to go back to get the credit card machine. And they have one per building.
I swear.
So they have to go find it and then they bring it back. And you think would just say, bring me the check and the credit card machine. And even when you go to the gas station or anything, they all have the same credit card.
Yeah, we're waiting to pay for our gas for the other attendant to use it to help these people pay. And then you got to get your attendant, and they pump your gas here and wash your windows, and
It's
just
all
like
gas.
any old day. Yeah.
You're not allowed so that, yeah. And then Kristina taught, as you say, fill it up one click or else they'll just keep filling it till it's overflowing.
yes,
So she taught us that just the same one click.
one
Yeah.
click. Exactly. And for when you said about bringing a check and they don't disturb you when you got to eat, and you say you can sit there for 5 hours. They will not disturb you. They're not like American culture
Where they keep coming and checking.
They want to get you out of there because
They want another
they
table.
want to roll that table over and as many tables as possible. Nope. They will sit back and they will watch you. And we have closed out many restaurants. South Africans will sit there and they won't disturb. And then I didn't know this before, but I actually learned this lately, is if you want the check, you just do this. A writing like you're writing with a pen on your hand.
So they don't bring appetizers right away either.
Yeah.
You think you're going to get your salad like you do at home. You get your salad first or whatever. They bring it all at once.
Yeah,
But
we
for
went
the
to one
most
place
part.
like that where they said, do you want a starter? And they don't call it appetizer, they call it starter.
Yeah.
Which is starter.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, but everything, we love South Africa. There was nothing that I didn't like. It was beautiful, more nice, the food was good, the roads were good. Like, I was supposed to come a couple of years ago, and everybody was saying that we were going to go on a safari, and they were like, oh, the roads are so bad, you're going to be in the safari truck for 6 hours on rugged roads. Now, granted, that was in South Africa, so I don't know what it's like up there, but that's what I'm picturing. I knew Cape Town was going to be like that, but I wasn't sure what it was going to be like up in Kruger. And even the roads in Kruger, the dirt roads some of the roads were all paved and there were dirt roads. Those dirt roads were nicer than our roads, our regular roads in San Diego. It's been really amazing.
And we've had unbelievable
Weather.
experiences. Africa's been
Really
Yeah.
good to us.
Yeah, we've had, and then we rented her car. And we did the garden level, which is basically we started in Cape Town and then we went to
Agulhas.
So I've been having a hard time.
We've been having lessons on
Yeah.
speaking and spelling.
Cape
Agulhas.
Agulhas is the most southern tip where the Indian Ocean and the Atlantic Ocean meet. So we went there. No,
And when you are here in Cape Town, you can actually go to the Atlantic Ocean and the Indian Ocean. You can go to 2 separate beaches and you can go to 2 separate directions. You can go to the beach.
but you can't go to where they meet.
So this is where they meet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was really cool. It was the most, we had to drive out of the way to go there, but we had to go.
So if someone were to, okay, I am going to South Africa, what are like maybe your top things?
Depends on what they
Best
want to do.
advice.
And I think it depends on what kind of person you are. Like, we're very adventurous. We had no problem being by ourselves in a car. Some people want to go on a tour and have everything done for them.
Yeah.
Dawn did a great job of finding us hotel and not even hotel, like Airbnbs and stuff like that. We were basically on a budget. So we never hardly ever stayed anywhere over $100 a night. And that was for both of us. And we were splitting everything. So we were getting places for $40 a night.
And then we'd split it.
And then, yeah, a lot of those were including breakfast.
Well, yeah, I looked for the ones that included breakfast because we would literally have a wonderful breakfast. Then we wouldn't eat. We'd snack in the car, drink our water, eat whatever in the car, granola, whatever. And then we would eat dinner.
Yeah. So the thing was the flight here. And you can look for cheaper flights.
Yeah, we found out that we shouldn't have paid as much as we did.
But we planned our trip like in January and we came in March. So we didn't give ourselves too much time. And we waited till the last minute to do everything because we didn't know what the weather was going to be like. If we liked something, we might want to stay an extra day, which not happened. And so we planned everything as we went. And the only time it matters is when we got to
Both sworn.
and it's way up on the middle of nowhere. It's not like it was in these beach towns where they're like right after each other. This one's way out in the middle of nowhere. So we get there and it's so hot.
We were hangry.
We were so hungry. So we stopped and get an ostrich salad at this ostrich emporium. And we're sitting there looking for a place and there are no places to rent. And the people next to us would tell us there was a festival in town that everybody comes from Cape Town
Which is
for.
why
And we totally lucked out. We found this resort.
we just kept searching.
And it ended up being like way over our budget, but we didn't care at that point.
You get to
It was
Yeah.
heaven.
But we learned a lesson because we booked it on booking.com. If we would have asked them when we got there, if they had any other rooms, because we ordered the wing that was like this giant room with a bathtub and all this stuff. But if we would have asked them when we got there, they did have a cheaper room.
Yeah. They just only give so many to booking. So on
So
booking,
that was a
it didn't.
lower.
Don't look for your places on booking, but if you can, don't book through booking. Call
Yeah.
the number at the place
directly.
and they'll negotiate with you your price that you have on booking
Or
and usually
they
give
might
you a
have
better
different
price.
room. Paid $175 for the first night and $37 for the second night. And we don't need
Live and learn.
It's different.
I know.
Yeah, live and learn
And then we wanted to go on an ostrich tour, and it was right there
on the ostrich farm. The
we
place
were
was.
staying at the ostrich farm. It was so perfect.
So it
The
was
guy-
meant to be.
It was his farm, and we got to hear the whole story of ostriches, everything about them.
How they farmed them, how they got into farming.
It was amazing, and it happened to be right down the street from the meerkats. So the next morning, we got up at sunrise and went and saw the meerkats in their natural habitat out in this field. Somebody else's
Just in the middle of nowhere.
out in the middle of nowhere. We had to sit there on folding chairs and wait for the meerkats to come out.
Wait for the
day.
sunrise because they come up to get sun.
So we had
and
to
when
sit
they
there for a couple hours and wait for them. And it was perfect. And we lucked out.
Africa has been so good to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus, that place was so nice. And
Yep.
they had this beautiful breakfast spread.
Oh, I'm sure.
And it was all like Victorian with this teacups. And
it was very classy
it was
compared to
very-
what we had been staying at. We stayed at a tent for 2 nights before that.
Oh, we were like, we went.
It was a
Tent.
glamping tent. It had a king size bed in it and its own bathroom. They put a big, huge, smooth rock, and then all around it was little pea gravel, and the water just come down and went into the ground.
And then it was a canvas tent and that was the only place we stayed.
It
That's
had a
another thing.
screen.
I had a screen. Nobody has screens here.
No,
So
we don't.
everything, it's so weird. It's like
Mosquito.
Bugs,
Yeah.
the moths. They
you gotta just open it with no screens. And I live in San Diego, so we're kind of like that too, but it's weird. And then, so the tent was the only thing with a screen because it was canvas and it had the fold down things. But then it was covered by this bamboo shelter. So from the outside, it didn't even really look like a tent. From the inside, it did.
Yeah.
But that was cool. So we stayed in all kinds of really cool places.
Yeah.
What was your most favorite of all?
So of the places we stayed,
Yeah.
the farm.
Bridge was cool.
Yeah.
And it was just the whole experience.
Yeah. It was a beautiful farm. It was like
Lived
waking up at home.
everywhere. Thing was different. Literally, we would go all day until it got dark. We didn't drive after dark. We'd go and go to bed like
Yeah.
super early because we'd get up early
Every day.
Your schedule was
And yeah.
You
Yeah.
just kept going and going.
So it wasn't like we were hanging out in a room. So who
Right.
cared?
Yeah.
as long as it was clean and everything was so clean.
Yeah.
Clean and breakfast was important because it was just so easy to like just get fueled up in the morning and then take off for the day. We didn't have to worry about it.
Yeah. So we're in Kruger National Park, and Dawn booked all our stuff ahead of time.
I made one faux pas.
Okay, I gotta tell a story. So we're in this Kruger National Park, and we thought we're going to go to night safari. And so we go to the reception area to book the night safari. And while we're there, and it's this lady with the accent, she didn't have any teeth. She was so cute and funny. And we're trying to understand her. And she's trying to understand us. And so we booked the night safari, which was an adventure in itself, just booking that. And then we were like, while we're here, can we just register for our
Checking in.
in?
And when I booked this place, we had booked bungalows everywhere else, but they didn't have a bungalow at this particular rest camp. So I booked a camper, like
Trailer.
a trailer. We were going to stay in a camper.
So we say to her, okay, we want to check in. So she checks us in and she goes, okay, you can go into the campsite and just pick out any site. And we're like, what do you mean pick out any site? We're staying in a trailer. What number is it? And she goes, you're staying in a trailer. You didn't bring a trailer? And we're like, dying laughing. And we know that they don't have any bungalows. So we're like, oh my gosh, we're going to sleep in our car in this campground. And the whole communication thing's happening. And she's like trying to understand the fact that we don't have a trailer.
I'm like, we don't have blankets. We have nothing.
So funny. So she checks, and someone had just canceled
A bungalow.
bungalow. And so we got it. We're like, we'll take it. Okay, so this room gets funnier. There's one other man in this whole place, and he's behind us listening to this whole thing. Here, he's camping, and he booked 2 nights in Crocodile Bridge, where we had just come from, instead of 1 night there and 1 night here. And so he needed a night here.
Because he left too early.
So he ended up getting our site because it was sold out. It all worked out so perfect.
He said, girl saved my life. My wife was so mad.
And so we ended up with
Saved a marriage, and you got
Yeah.
sleep in an actual bed.
Yeah.
So it was like this little tiny hut. And that night, we didn't have a bathroom, but there was a bathroom. It was like a
Campground, but it had bungalow.
and it was right outside the door. So it was,
Yeah, like a shower house.
yeah. And then, so that was cool. And then the next night, we stayed in another one. It was a little bit bigger and it had its own bathroom.
Yeah.
It's been such an amazing time for you guys. Do you think you'll ever come back? Are you planning on that? And would you
Usually,
do it
once I go
together? Would you-
somewhere, I don't go back.
There's so many
There's
places to see.
go.
I'm putting a flight watch on it though, because I just want to see how cheap I can
There's
get
so
that
many-
flight.
There's so many things that more to do.
It
There's
is.
a lot of things to do here.
I would highly recommend it.
Pardon.
See, and that's what you need to do this next time, because you were following a friend that had come before you,
Mhm.
her itinerary and what she told you that she did, and it worked out great for you. But I think you haven't spent enough time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I
then,
agree.
venturing to other places. We've lived here for, this is our 23rd year, and we're still doing things in Cape Town that we haven't done.
Yeah, there's a lot to do here.
So-
and that's another thing. It's one thing to come and for a week in one area and relax. And we were literally
That wasn't the
just-
kind of vacation we knew this was going to be.
just feel like nonstop. And the weather was perfect the whole time. It rained a little bit one morning and we ended up going shopping, and then we ended up hiking later on in the afternoon. We were active, and this was not a relaxing vacation.
No.
But most of mine aren't. So I usually travel by myself. People can't keep up. Dawn here can. So
More power to her.
and yeah, I'm like, I want to see everything.
I'm going to rest for a week when I.
And then the thing was too, even on the garden route, like we could have easily spent way more time on those little towns. A lot of them, some of them, just exploring or relaxing, or we did take walks on the beach and all that.
We did relax one day on the beach. That was one of my check offs. I wanted to
Just chill on the
just lay on the
Called
beach.
Nature Valley.
That was one of my favorite
was
places.
surrounded by the mountains. Literally, it was a beach. It was an ocean and a bay, and it was surrounded by.
It's where the trees meet the ocean. It's like you have everything. And then we did end up ziplining over the ocean. So that's what we ziplined in Mossel Bay.
Lost Bay. And then after you zip line, you could look up the cliff and it goes to this little cave thing, and it's just beautiful. You walk all the way up to the top of this cliff, and it's overlooking the ocean, very sealed.
While we were ziplining, you could see the seals playing in the water, and you could see the kids were swimming in the swimming holes there and stuff. It was super good.
So you did get to do a few things while you were here in Cape Town, because you've been here since Sunday, and this is Tuesday, and you're leaving out tonight. What other things were you wanting that, like you didn't get to do the botanical garden
In the
but
township tour.
in the township tour? So you see, you're going to have to come
Yeah,
back.
but what we did get to see is Christina's husband's school,
Oh, that was super cool.
which it was my favorite thing in Ecuador was the school. And this was one of my favorite. I don't know why I get so emotional when I talk about this. I don't know why, but it was just amazing. Just warms your heart.
And I think that the love that your husband shows for those kids and how much he cares about them.
And the smiles on their faces,
and
and
they
when
just
they see us,
appreciate
and
it.
they had all kind of questions for us, like always about what our favorite snacks is and fast food in America is. This is when I traveled over here before. That was one of the things I noticed. There's no such thing as a big gulp, like going to the gas station and filling a pop up like this big. They just don't do that. If you get a soda, it's in a very small cup and no ice.
But yeah, I recommend South Africa.
It's a beautiful place to visit.
It's very beautiful. I would love to live here.
I never felt unsafe once. Sometimes I think it's Americans think that it's maybe unsafe, and there are places just like in America that it's unsafe, but there was never one time where I really felt unsafe at all.
Yeah.
And they're like, ladies, it has been amazing to have you here.
It has been amazing being here.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Once you have been in South Africa, it's like if you take a bar back with you, and no one can understand that. You can
Everyone told me that. They were like, you're going to bring a part of it home with you.
So I have one more experience that I want to share. Okay, so we went to an elephant sanctuary where we got to walk the elephants up close, personal, touch their ears, looked in their mouths, at their teeth, their tail. And when they walk the elephant, you put your hand like this,
which is underneath
under their trunk. Yes, underneath their trunk. And they literally put your hand in their trunk, and they're like sucking on your hand. And that's how you walked them.
And the elephant, years, there
wasn't like that.
Were
rescued
orphaned because of poachers.
They
So they were 2 years old when they went there, and they couldn't be out in the wild anymore. And 2 of them came from Kruger. And we learned in Kruger that there is an overabundance of elephants there. There's 20,000 elephants there in Kruger. So they're literally sending them away
to different
places. So these elephants were very cared for, very well fed. And we weren't riding them or anything like that, but it was
they lived in a
all about education.
Big space, and they give them breaks in between the tours. So there was people there that walked them, and then they cut it and they give them a break to do their thing, and then they have another one. Everything was amazing. There's so much more we could go on and on forever. It's amazing. It was amazing.
Just come down yourself. And I left all the brochures there. Kristina.
She's got an Airbnb. Yeah. And very comfortable beds. It was amazing.
And amazing food.
They're gracious hosts,
very,
for sure.
very kind.
Yes.
People and very generous.
It's very easy to be kind to you. Are wonderful.
Yes. We appreciate it
Very easy
so much
as well.
We're going to reciprocate that when they come back to the U.S.
yes.
now that they know. And that's how it works. That's how it works. It's great.
Our world gets a little bit smaller, right?
I'll be giving you my car. You'll be using my car to drive around.
Thank you. We're going to say toodaloo for now. But this won't be the last for sure.
Hopefully.
Because I know that
we'll see each other somewhere.
We'll see each other somewhere. When we met in Ecuador, we
got together in South Africa. So
where else? But it's been such a pleasure. And hopefully our listeners have also
I hope you're taking note.
Yes.
If not, let me know, because I'm good at planning all this stuff. Let me know and I'll help you out.
So what I'll do, if it's okay with you guys, is I'm going to put your contact details, email address down underneath the show notes so that if they have any questions and they want to find out about maybe your itineraries
Yeah.
or had a question, questions
Yeah,
about
for
places
sure.
you've been or experiences that maybe they thought about that I didn't to ask you or whatever, they can contact
Yeah.
you. So we'll do
Dawn and Dawn. Don't forget it.
Thanks for listening to Curlers and Conversations. If this episode spoke to you, let's keep the conversation going. Please subscribe, that would mean so much. Leave a review and share it with a friend who needs to hear this. Don't forget to contact me over on Instagram and Facebook at The Bougie Missionary. I can't wait to hear your thoughts. Send me a message and let's chat. See you next time.